Hey guys, listen up because in today's episode, we're going to have a massive opportunity for you to start a six-figure online business. My guest today is Johnny Robinson from Home Service Academy. We're going to be sitting down and talking about this opportunity to run a business completely remotely from Latin America. So, welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast, your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Again, our guest today is Johnny Robinson, Home Service Academy. How's it going, man?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you calling in from today?
So, normally I'd be calling in from Las Vegas. I live on the Strip, but right now I'm in my hometown, Hesperia. I came back to California because we're doing a live event for Home Service Academy. We're getting
hmm
100 different remote cleaning business owners from all over the world, and we're meeting up in Scottsdale. And so I'm doing some in-person event prep with my business partner, Sergio. So I'm in Hesperia, California. It's probably a city most people haven't heard of.
Cool. I love it. And I've known about you for a while, actually, kind of from Twitter as well as actually through Cole Gordon as well. So I know you've been crushing it with this business for a couple of years now. So you definitely have a solid track record and solid people behind you. So for the audience, like this really is the real deal in a very, what's the word, proven business opportunity. And I'm curious to see how it works. So I definitely have tons of questions and you could kind of share with people what it would maybe be like to run a business. Because I think what's cool at a high macro level is I know you're kind of tangentially in this sort of sub niche of what do they call it, like old school businesses or like in person businesses,
Yeah,
right?
boring businesses.
Boring
Yeah.
businesses, boring. So what is a boring business?
Yeah, boring business is just like your traditional small business, right? Your local window cleaner, your local house cleaner, your the guy that paints the lines on the parking lots, right? Companies have to do that stuff. Uh, People have to do, all the boring stuff that nobody really wants to do, right? Where you get your hands dirty. The roofers, the HVAC, the electricians, the main street businesses. Some people like to call them as well.
Main Street businesses. And I guess part of the idea is that there's a couple of macro trends, right? That the boomers are retiring, a lot of them are selling their boring businesses, and these businesses would literally have to shut down if they didn't have someone to come in and buy them. And so, there's what you do, which I think is help people start them from scratch, and then it's probably better to build, learn how to do it from scratch, and then maybe like growth opportunities for someone who was to pursue this is in the future. They could also, do some bolt-on acquisitions and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something we even do inside Home Service Academy where someone will start a cleaning business, they'll run it for a couple of years, and they'll say, "Hey, I kind of want to sell it now. I've got it to 30K a month, 40K a month, whatever it is. Uh, I want to sell it." And they'll go to someone else in the an HSA and say, "Here, here's my business. This is what I want for it." And then you kind of have like the internal deal network there. But not only that, but it's something I've done as well. Like we've bolted on. We built the biggest window cleaning company in Orange County. And the way we were able to grow that so quickly was because we ended up buying another window cleaning business that was doing about $250,000 a year. And the reason we wanted to buy that was because they had commercial contracts with the two biggest private universities in the area. And so if we were able
Hmm.
to buy that business, we basically secure those contracts. And once you get those commercial contracts, it's very hard to screw that up. And it's very sticky revenue where you can rely on it every summer when, the kids are moving out and those windows need to be cleaned. So
hmm And I'm sure most
100%
people like
bolt-ons.
realize there's a lot of money in these traditional businesses, like a plumbing company, a roofing company, this and that. But I think what people don't realize is there's actually a way to run a business like this 100% remote. And that's something that you help people with, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, uh, most people think the only way to make money online is to go into, your classic, your marketing agency, your Amazon FBA, your drop shipping, whatever it may be, right? You heard them all. But there's a large opportunity to come into, these local businesses, these boring businesses, and compete against these people who don't know how to market, they don't know how to sell, they don't even do the basics, they don't even answer their phone, right? I always say call 10 to any 10 businesses locally in whatever niche or industry you want, right? Call 10 house cleaners in your area, 8 of them will pick up their phone. You can simply win just by doing the basics and the fundamentals of picking up your phone, right? And so it creates a large opportunity for someone who's, a little bit more technically savvy to come in. Even if you're not, it's fine, but come in, utilize contractors who already have the training, already have the equipment, already have the vehicles necessary to complete all the jobs, so you don't have to do it yourself. You hire them, you save all that time having to train them, you save the money having to come out of pocket to purchase any equipment or replace broken equipment, and then you basically build a sales and marketing business, right? Where you're generating the leads, you're quoting the jobs, you're getting them booked, and then you're sending the contractors to fulfill them. Now you do have to do a good job at recruiting up front and screening to make sure you're not hiring criminals to go into your customers' homes and do service for your customers. But
Right.
as long as you can do that, then you know you're competing against people who don't know how to sell and don't know how to market. So uh, that's kind of the opportunity, right? And it's pretty crazy what I've seen people do, because I've seen people come in, you can run up to 10, 20, $30,000 a month, because in local service businesses there's no one company that owns more than 1% of the market share.
Hmm. Interesting. And do we have to kind of start at the beginning a little bit? I mean, we wanted to sort of seed people with the idea that this can be done 100% remotely, even though it's kind of a in-person business. But what exactly is the opportunity here?
Yeah, so the opportunity is to build a house cleaning business that uses contractors instead of employees. And because you save, like I said, you save all that time and money having to come out of pocket for materials, or spend time training employees up, or having to rent an office space for your employees to go to. You bypass all that by hiring contractors, which allows you to run it from anywhere in the world. Like, I've seen people live in the Netherlands, run their business in Texas. I've seen people live in Sweden, run their business in Calgary. And that's because they can do the recruiting all from their home. They can pick up a phone using a tool like Open Phone, where you get a business phone number, where you
Mhm.
just pick up a phone, you close a quick $300 deal, and then you hire your contractors off Indeed or local Facebook or Nextdoor groups, and then you send the jobs to the contractors, allowing you to never have to be in the actual area, right? Even go as far as growing and scaling the business. You can hire a virtual assistant to answer the phones for you, um, and you don't necessarily need to be in the local area.
Could you maybe
To
tell
answer your
us a
question?
story about some of your most successful students?
Yeah, so we have a ton. We've done it over 2,000 times. I don't want to sound too like too infomercially, but yeah, we've done this a lot. We've done it for 8 years, and it's crazy some of the success we have. So we have a guy. He's in Omaha, Nebraska. Sells line striping machines full time. That's his day job. So machines that paint lines on the floor. And he came to us, started a cleaning business in 18 months, turned it into $110,000 a month cleaning company while he still has his 9 to 5. Um, doesn't do any of the cleaning himself, sells line striping machines as his day job, and then cash flows, a cool 30 to 40 grand a month without having to do any cleaning himself, and now have built himself a safety net. We've got another lady, Jazz, from the UK. She travels everywhere around the world, and she built her business to 30K a month in the first like 2 or 3 months. She's now at 60 to 70 per month, and her business is based in Utah, but she's traveling around the UK. She's a UK citizen, all over the place. Uh, we've got another guy named Tommy Lee, does about 60K a month. He's a professional hockey player in Sweden, so he plays in a league in Sweden. A
Nice.
professional hockey player full time, and built his business in his hometown of Calgary, Canada. I think you're from Canada, right? So you'll he built that business, and spends about 5 to 10 hours a week, while he has two virtual assistants in the Philippines answering the phone calls, handling all the day to day, while he just kind of turns some dials on the marketing.
Yeah, the Calgary thing got me thinking. So I guess this is not just a US based opportunity. Does it only work for Canada and the US, or could it, if someone's listening to this and they're like, shit, I should do this in Argentina and be the first guy, could that maybe work?
We've got people from Honduras, we've got people from Argentina, we've got people in Colombia. Obviously, you can start anywhere, right? So you can be in Colombia and you can start in the States. And
Right.
so
I mean, I
the
meant like
best,
territory.
yeah, the best countries I see as far as like where you can actually physically operate: Canada, U.S., most Western European countries, and Australia.
Okay. So like Portugal or something could work as a territory.
Yeah,
Okay. And
I
speaking of
always tell
territory,
people, I
go
always
ahead.
tell people, if there's buildings, they're going to get cleaned, right? Whether it's going to be the person who lives in the building that's going to clean them, or they're going to hire someone to clean it.
Right.
They're not building robots to clean houses, and it's not going anywhere. It's like a cup of coffee, right? People have been drinking cups of coffee for how long? Centuries. Same thing with cleaning. Stuff has always gotten dirty, so it's always going to need to be cleaned. So as long as I always say that, as long as there's buildings, you can build a cleaning business. As long as it's not like a Compton, California.
Okay. And so I'm kind of an idiot because I've always done online stuff so that I could travel the world, but
Mhm.
I've also realized that probably something you've realized that there's actually a lot less competition with these in-person opportunities sometimes. But so help me kind of like walk through some of the moving pieces here. So I guess from what I saw, you sort of drive the leads and the traffic online through, I think, like paid ads with Yelp or Google Ads and some stuff like that, right? So there is a bit of a
Yes, there's because I can get real tactical. I can go into it on the marketing piece. You get paid in organic. There's also affiliates. You can do affiliates. You can do cold outreach. Lots of different ways to acquire customers. My favorite two to pair together are paid and organic. When I say paid, I mean Google local service ads is kind of the easiest one. Get registered on there. It's the first thing that pops up if somebody's searching for house cleaning services.
Mhm.
It'll show a little Google guaranteed badge. That's Google local service ads. So that's easy. Spend a couple $100 there. You've also got Thumbtack, which will send you a decent amount of leads. Yelp works really well on the West Coast, specifically in California for advertising. So I really am a big fan of those three. And then on the organic side, I like to run traffic there. And then I like to get people to go and post shout outs and testimonials for me inside, buy and sell local Facebook groups, mom Facebook groups, community specific groups where people are saying, "Hey, shout out to my mom's cleaning business is called Mary and a Mop." So, hey, shout out to Mary and a Mop for cleaning our house. They did a wonderful job. What that does is, I call it like the keeping up with the Joneses effect. You
Mhm.
post one time in there, you trigger all the neighbors like, "Oh my gosh, Barbara's using this company. Maybe I should try them out." And even if they don't need your services right at that moment, when they do, you're going to stay top of mind if you continue to have people shout you out and post testimonials for you. And so between
Okay.
those two, pretty straightforward to drive traffic because most cleaning companies run into the problem of they can't staff fast enough, which is another benefit to the contractors.
Mhm.
So you can come in and you can build $1 million cleaning business in most markets just off of the bigger cleaning companies in that area's inability to actually fulfill all the work that they're getting because they can't hire fast enough and train fast enough.
Mhm. So speaking of fulfillment, do I, as the new business owner, do I have to buy all the equipment and the mops, and don't you need like a truck and stuff like that, or how does that work?
Yeah, again, so you're hiring contractors, right? So the legal kind of definition of this business is called a referral agency. You're just technically referring jobs to already established cleaning companies.
Mm.
Um, so they have all of the equipment necessary to complete the job. They have their own vehicles. They pay for their own gas. You don't need to come out of pocket for any of that stuff because if you were to do that, well, it's going to eat into your profit for one. Two, your cleaners are going to lose your stuff. I've had a crew of 10 W 2 employees before. They lose stuff, they break stuff, they forget stuff, and you just don't want to deal with it. It's a big pain in the ass, especially for cleaning. So
Okay,
you hire.
I thought I was gonna have to find like some Mexican ladies on Facebook Marketplace or something, but we're actually you actually kind of create deals with existing cleaning companies and then sort of like charge a margin on top, essentially.
Charge them a fixed rate, right? Some people will have teams, but mostly you're going to be hiring independent contractors, so 1 to 2 person teams who
Hmm.
just want to show up and do the job, right? And so the thing is you pay most W 2 cleaners, right? W 2 is in they have an actual 9 to 5 job with a cleaning company. They're not a contractor. The average pay is like $16 an hour in the U.S., $17 an hour. Plus, you go to the job, you finish it, you get tips. So they're not making crazy amounts of money. When you take them from W 2 to independent contractor, you're now able to pay them $25 to $35 an hour while actually being more profitable as the business owner because you save money on payroll tax, workers' comp, all that kind of stuff, and the equipment, like I said. But you're also able to pay them a lot more because you pay them a fixed percentage of every job. So you pay them 40 to 45% of every job. So let's say I quote a job for $300. My gross margins are now fixed. I know I'm going to pay that cleaner $120 when I onboard them because I'm telling them they're going to make 40%. And so I quote that $300 job. My sales and marketing fees are covered and my fixed costs are covered on the job because I'm going to be making $180 on that 300, and I know every time they're going to be making 120 because it's fixed. But the benefit is, like, the flip side is, you're able to attract and retain a lot better talent because you're able to pay them a lot more than they'd make at a W-2 job anyways. So kind of a win-win.
And is reliability an issue?
Always, yeah, always, 100%. That's why I always say, always be selling and always be recruiting, right? Always be recruiting. So the two ABCs, because you always have to be recruiting. Even if you have the best roster of cleaners in the world, all the best talent, you just never know when someone's gonna, think, oh, I want more money, or they start getting picky with jobs, right? And so by building a bench of talent that you can plug in when people do stuff like that, kind of prevents the reliability issue. That's kind of what we teach people. Is
Yeah.
just like a sports team, right? Your quarterback goes down, your QB1 goes down. You want to have a backup just in case.
Yeah, no, I get it. I know all my buddies who work with like painting companies and this and that, like the painter only shows up 2 days a week or, and they just, it's like the most unreliable thing ever. Uh,
Yeah,
so yeah, I guess you got to have backups on backups, right?
it's
And
just building a funnel just like you would in a sales or marketing. And so the idea is, however you're getting your leads, you want to mirror the hiring funnel the same way to match the demand because it's kind of like a chicken and egg.
mhm. And what was I gonna say? Territory wise, do you try to do like, is it like you focus on a specific city or like a 100-mile radius, or how does that work?
I like to do specific cities. It just depends on like how big the metro is. A place like, let's say, LA, where it's a huge geographic county. There's a ton of different little suburbs. You can build $1 million cleaning business in each one of those suburbs. And so people make the mistake of coming into the space and they say, well, I'm going to start my business in LA and I'm going to service all of LA. And they're trying to go wider instead of going deeper into one market. And so I always recommend go deeper into one market because we've got people who are in metros of 30,000, 50,000, running $1 million cleaning companies.
Hmm.
Um, you don't need that big of an area to build a big business, and people think, oh, I need a service everywhere. You start servicing everywhere, it creates logistical issues where you schedule a job in the morning, let's say in uh, Burbank or Pasadena, and then you schedule another one in Long Beach for the afternoon. Well, how annoying is that for the cleaner to have to drive from, I don't know if you're familiar with the area, but it's a very far distance, right? And
Right,
so you
right,
want to make sure
traffic.
that your cleaners are your money makers. So if you can position them in a smaller area where there's less drive time, they can complete more jobs for you.
Okay. And even though it is 100% remote, I imagine there's some value to like checking in every couple months or something like that. What do you recommend to people in terms of that? Could they literally never go to the market, or do you tell them like, hey, why don't you check in with your contractors every 6 months or something?
As far as the contractors go, a phone call does the job. You can always do a phone call, but there is some magic to the marketing piece. If you can roll up your sleeves and kind of get in the field and get to know, your local roofers and your electricians and
Right.
your HVAC guys, all the other home services that are in front of your customer because they can refer you work. And you can't really replace building that kind of local relationship and that local network. It does go a long way. So if you are willing to do that, it does help. And I actually do recommend people start in their local areas just because they know how to they know their area better than a random one that they're just picking, right? So they can schedule better, they can route the jobs a lot better. They probably know a lot of people in the area to be able to test cleaners out. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's
And
some
is
some
it
truth to that.
like is the focus really on residential or a mix of residential and commercial, and I guess there's industrial as well?
Yeah, so residential is my favorite because everybody's got a different willingness to pay. So you can charge really high prices and still have happy customers. Um, you get paid the same day. You don't have to hunt people down for payment because you pre-authorize their card and you take their card over the phone. So as soon as that clean's done, you're
Whereas with
charging them for
commercial, they might try to do some net 60, net 90 type stuff.
right. And then now you're fronting your contractors pay for 30 days, waiting
Right.
for cash to come in, which is a terrible
Mm.
cash flow cycle. You don't want to do that. So I like residential the best, but there's a ton of different markets you can go into. You have residential, you've got commercial, right, where you're going to have those net 30, net 60 terms, more like janitorial type services. You've got short term rentals, which I also am a big fan of short term rentals because some people own 10, 20, 50, 100 short term rentals. And if you, the cleaning company, can handle all of that, well, those are turning over every few days, each one of them, each one of those units. So those are great. Logistically, more challenging because you have to do a lot more prep and you've got to make the bed, do the laundry, that kind of stuff. But that's one. And then you also have construction cleanup, which is my mom's favorite. So my mom runs a cleaning business that does about 35, 40 grand a month in Orange County, California. And her biggest market is construction cleanups. So she's built a few key relationships with general contractors in the area. And every time their homes are finished being built, she'll actually go in do the construction cleanup where it's really high ticket, right? It's $3,000 to $5,000 typically for construction cleanup, and sends the girls to do it. And because she has that relationship, she doesn't have pay anything to acquire that. She just pays for the labor, and then the rest is profit.
Right, right. And it's just like dusty as hell, and they get in there and
Right? Yeah.
get it ready for the realtor, I guess.
Yep. Exactly. And so those are kind of like the four main markets we see. We teach residential first. I like to go into residential first just to get the hang of things. It's the easiest. And then naturally, as you're advertising, these different markets and these different opportunities typically tend to fall on your lap. And then you do a good job for one, you get referred to another.
Okay. And I remember I talked to you probably know this guy, Neil, I think it's Parak. Neil,
Yeah,
he's like an
he's a
Indian
good friend of
American
mine.
guy. Yeah, he
Good
has his
friend.
own business kind of doing this. And he does more of like a franchise model and you get a specific territory. But it sounds like your model is different where you just teach the business and you're not assigning or carving out territory or anything like that, right?
Right, yeah. So Neil's actually speaking at our event next week. We've been good friends for a while, and yeah, so he does strictly franchise territories, and you got to be full time. With us, we do. You can do it full time. You can do it part time. Most of our people are actually part time, but we have a lot of full time too. And we don't necessarily do territories. You can start wherever you want, but we also track where all of our locations are. So if we have, you know, a company or two companies in a metro of 30, 40, 50,000, we're not going to throw another cleaning company in there. It's just not going to benefit the
No,
student or
yeah,
the
for sure.
customer.
So I'm sure
As
you do a little bit of data analytics and say, hey, here's some virgin markets or something.
Right, exactly. We also know the markets that are really good, right? Like we have a ton of companies in Austin, ton of companies in the different Texas metros because they're huge metros, right? You can throw 10, 20, 50 companies in there and it's not going to really change anything because even if people worry about that a lot when it's like, dude, you're going into a metro of 5 million people, 10 million people. Do you realistically think you can staff and hire fast enough and let alone enough people to go and fulfill all of that demand? There's no way.
Hmm. What do you think? Because I imagine you have at least some amount of people that sign up for your program that aren't successful. What are those things that are that make people that kind of separate the people who are successful from the ones that aren't?
So I'll give you some data actually. Our average data first sale is 21 days. This is across 2,000 different launches. So 21 days, if you do no more, you do no less. On average, it takes about 21 days to make your first dollar. I've seen it happen as fast as 3 days. I've seen it take as long as 2 months. Really, the difference between somebody who sees success and doesn't is how fast you take action at the end of the day. Because you're not building a venture backed startup, right? You're not building the next Google. You're building a cleaning company. Very simple. Get your business set up, get it registered, put yourself on the directories, find one cleaner to go out and do the work, get one lead, send the cleaner to do the job. Not that complicated. And so, very rarely do we actually see someone come in and not make a dollar. Um, we track student success crazy, like all the data, and everything's one on one, right? All of our coaches have been through the program. They've all built, at least 40, $50,000 a month cleaning companies. And it's really handheld, so it's very hard to kind of not see success. But the ones that see outside success, they're very good at tracking their data. They're very good
Mm,
at controlling their gross margins, right? How much they're actually paying their cleaners. They're really good at closing over the phone so they can reduce their cost to acquire a customer when you're running ads. The more
mhm,
leads you can close when you're running
mhm,
ads, the better, because the lower it costs to actually get that customer. And they keep their marketing around 5 to 15% of their revenue per month.
mhm,
And you do that, and you convert a lot of those customers you're acquiring to recurring, to monthly, bi-weekly or weekly cleans,
mhm.
um, because that's where you make all your profit, is kind of the back end services that you're providing.
Right.
You do those three core things, and people who do that see outsized success. Like we've got one woman in the Phoenix metro, name's Gray. She's gone zero to a little over 30K a month in 6 months, and it doesn't sound like a crazy revenue level, but she's doing 40% net profit margins without ever doing any cleaning,
Right. So
because she controls those things really well.
she's making like 13, 14 grand profit a month.
Right, on a 30K revenue business, pretty damn good.
Mhm.
So,
Makes sense because like 10K a month is going to be nothing, right? Because you're making maybe like 3K, 4K a month profit. So you really have to
well,
get to at least kind of mid five figures for it to start being pretty significant.
your first month, it depends how much ad spend you're coming out of pocket on and how good you are closing those leads. I always tell people, if you have the gift of gab, you can talk to people, you'll be fine, because you're closing inbound leads who are searching for services that they want and they need. If they're searching for cleaning services on Google and you pop up and you're paying for an ad there, they're very high intent. So as long as you can talk and you have a decent sales acumen, you'll close them at a high clip. You'll be pretty profitable. But where you make the money is in converting them to recurring. So don't expect to come out and be at that 40% profit clip month one. It takes a couple months, to get there. But
Hmm.
it just depends how much you're spending on ads. As an example, when we launched Mary No Op for my mom's name's Mary, and we put $2,000 of ad spend on an Amex, and we did 12 grand of revenue our first month with 4 grand of profit. We had 20K our second month with 8 grand of profit. So you can see kind of the increase. But even month one, we were pretty decently profitable. It just depends how good you are at closing those leads and spending money on and marketing.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Crema Social. Crema Social is like TikTok for international dating. It's an app you can download right now on your phone, and 3 out of 4 people on Crema are single women. The app was founded in Colombia, so unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Latinas on the app, by the way. So, how does it work? Crema Social is a social meal experience where you invite a hot girl for a lunch date via video call and food delivery. New concept, so you'll have to try it out for yourself, but this is probably the best way to meet Latinas before you visit the country. So if you're in Latin America or planning to visit Latin America, download Crema Social now and start getting dates right away. There will be a link in the description to download, or just search Crema Social on your favorite app store. Have fun, guys. This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by BitRefill. BitRefill is the best way to spend your crypto in Latin America. Purchase gift cards or mobile refills from more than 3,500 brands in 186 countries instantly, safely, and privately. You can also apply the code MyLatinLife at checkout to get 10% back on your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information. This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Job Stacking. If you are a remote or hybrid worker looking to maximize your earning potential, then Rolf Haltza, the author of Job Stacking, guarantees you'll be able to double your income. This is the exact system Rolf has used to take his own income and those of many others beyond 20K a month. So what is job stacking? It's this idea of working multiple remote jobs. You might have heard Rolf, he's worked 5, 7, even 9 remote jobs at the same time before. And by the way, job stacking works equally well for non-technical roles. So no, it's not just for the nerds. So if you're ready to job stack, then book a discovery call with Job Stacking and see how they can double your income in just 9 weeks. In the show notes in the description, there will be a link where you can book a call directly on the Calendly of Job Stacking and be talking with them as early as tomorrow about how to double your income as quickly as possible. Yeah, definitely makes sense. I love how you always use your mom's story, but you've had 2,000 students, right?
Yeah, I like to use that one because it's the first one we launched. Well, it's not the
Yeah.
first one because
Yeah.
we had the biggest window cleaning company in Orange County too. We're using the same model, but I was able to the story is just special to me because the business does 35, 40 grand a month now. We have two locations, one in Orange County, one in Vegas, and my mom raised me on her own, like single mom. And when we started that business for her, we put that 2 grand of ad spend on the credit card. I went on Twitter and I was like, I'm going to retire my mom from Uber and build this business to 20K a month in 3 months. Watch me do it. And she was a full time Uber driver at 63 years old. And so we were able to launch this business for her.
Mhm.
The month we launched the business was the last month she's ever driven Uber. And now she makes, half of whatever 35, 40K is, 15, 20K a month. And it's more money than she's ever made in her entire life. And she works completely remotely. Fucking loves her life now. So that's why I keep bringing that story up. It's very special to me, and I know that
Sure.
business because I help her a little bit, here and there, um, but
Right.
mostly
You're
just
like,
let her
you're like,
her
Mom,
run.
we need to 10x here. We need to get to 500K a month.
It'll never get there because she's you can't teach an old dog new tricks,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's I try to give my
More
recommendations, but
lifestyle business type of thing.
exactly. So, um, I just
How
kind of
many
know the
people have you
customer.
got that passed 6 figures a month revenue?
6 figures, but we're at about four different ones now.
Four students have passed 100K a month.
Yes.
Okay, so that sounds like they're. And what? Why is that? Why is that kind of so low?
Well, it just depends because we have a ton in the sweet spot of like that 50 to 60. But like the guy who, so of those four, two of them are full time, two of them still have 9 to 5s. And so it just depends, man. Like I don't have a good answer for you there. It's just it's very straightforward on how to get to 100, but some people will get to 50, 60, and they'll get comfortable because their margins are great. And they're like, hey, I don't want like a build a huge cleaning business. Not only that, but it also takes time because these are $1 million companies we're talking about. It takes time to learn the skill set and build a business to the 7 figure revenue level. Home Service Academy itself, we've been in home service for 8 years. Home Service Academy will barely turn three come January 2025. And so I actually don't see it as that low, given that we've created $4 million companies in 3 years, which some of them have been in a year, some of them have been 18 months. Um, yeah, it just depends. So I would say it's like the bell curve, right? Like you're going to have the few people who get the A pluses in the class. You're going to see the
Yep.
A's. Most people are going to be in that C to B range, and then you'll have the small portion that fail.
And I imagine you do kind of one-on-one coachings with these people, or maybe you have like a VIP ascension thing. And these people who are at 50K and kind of feel stuck, what do you tell them to then go do? Do you say enter a new market? Do you say maybe acquire some other tangentially related business or start a new vertical? Like what would be like the logical next step to go from 50 to, into the 6 figures per month?
Yeah, so if you're stuck, the thing with the cleaning business, why I love this business, it's so simple. Remember, I told you houses get dirty, right? They're always going to get dirty. It's either the
Mhm.
homeowner's going to clean them, whoever lives there's going to clean it, or they're going to hire someone. And if you're not growing, it's likely because you're not converting your customers to recurring. Now, it's either a cleaner issue, which your cleaners are your product. Right? It means you're hiring shitty cleaners and you're sending them out to jobs, and the customers aren't happy after that first clean, so they don't want to book with you again,
Mm.
or you suck at converting them and you don't follow up and you don't ask for the sale on the weekly, biweekly, monthly clean
Mhm.
because you know houses are going to get dirty. If you do a good job at converting to recurring and you hire good cleaners, you should naturally walk in with more recurring revenue every month. So if you just spend the same amount of money on ads every day or every month, and you do a good job at hiring the cleaners and you do a good job at converting to recurring, you should naturally grow every month. So when I see someone stuck, it's almost always a cleaner issue or a system issue with not converting to recurring,
And
or it's
and
an
I guess you have like templates for how to structure these contracts to get recurring revenue?
Yeah, yeah, the whole follow up system with the emails, the text, the phone calls, the scripts, all that stuff. But the most important one is by far like you have to hire good cleaners, right? They're going and representing your company, and if you don't, you know, they're never going to book with you again. And doing things like running reactivation campaigns, because as you build a business over time, you're going to build a big customer list, right? Of thousands of people who've either bought your services or haven't bought your services. And so you can run promotions on the holidays to get them to book with you, and take someone from someone who called you for a quote 6 months ago, and maybe they tried a couple cleaning companies, didn't like them, and now 6 months later you hit them up and like, oh, let me give them a shot now. So um, when I see someone stuck, it's always because of that.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Have you had anyone like sell their business sort of like as a mini private equity transaction?
Yeah, all the time, all the time. We're doing one right now. He does about, I want to say, 10 to 15 grand a month in profit. So we're trying to get like a $200,000-300,000 sell for that business.
Right. So it'd be like 2.5x annual income or
Something around there,
something
yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
That'd
And
be
this
pretty
is an
cool.
old, barely 2-year-old business, but we've done a lot of smaller ones. People selling their business for 50K, 100K, a couple hundred grand. So help people. Also, like we're doing another one with the guy in Omaha I was telling you about,
Mhm.
that's doing about 100 grand a month. He wants to add on a carpet cleaning business. So we're helping him do a
Yeah.
deal with this carpet cleaning company he's going to buy that does about 120 grand a year in earnings. So that should be pretty fruitful for him.
Yeah, stuff's wild, man. Yeah, because where I'm from in Canada originally, like everyone that's rich is like in construction or all these boring businesses, right? Like there's not
Mhm.
that much IT type stuff. It's just everyone's house is worth $2 million, and so the contractors, whether it's the plumbers, the carpet cleaners, whatever, just charge out the ass. It's insane. Like it might cost $450 for the plumber to come by and just like turn the ratchet twice. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's yeah, but it still blows my mind how like a lot of people are talking about it now, but there's not a lot of people that want to like actually do it. Um, and I get it, right? Like especially if you're doing like a plumbing business or something where it's more skilled, you're getting your hands dirty. I get it, but yeah, dude, our average clean at Barry and Amat, even at Orange Window Cleaning, was $650 for window cleaning services. At Marion Amat for house cleaning,
Hmm.
it's a little over 350. And even when I posted on Twitter, or here's like the math behind a 10K a month cleaning business, and I posted our average clean is 350. Even people with other cleaning companies were like, "Dude, there's no way you're getting $350." I'm like, "Just charge higher prices, bro." And I had to post proof of like what our average clean was. But yeah, you can charge ridiculous prices and still have happy customers. And you're competing
Yeah.
against people who are in the Stone Age when it comes to marketing.
Yeah. So I guess it takes about to get 10K a month takes about 30 to 40 individual deals or transactions to do that, or
About
cleans.
1 to 2 cleaners and yeah, about 35, 40 jobs.
Have you ever had the cleaners like try to like steal the business directly because they're kind of like on site and just go to the homeowner or something like that? Do you prevent that by having them sign like a non-compete or something?
Yeah, so you have them sign a contract for one, but most importantly, you do a test clean. So the test clean is kind of cool. People always get a kick out of the test clean. The test clean, you get a friend or a family member, and you say, "Hey, do you want a free cleaning?" And they're always going to say yes because like, yeah, I don't want to clean my own house. So offer them a free cleaning. When you're recruiting these cleaners, you send them off to your friend or family member's house. They think it's a real clean. You're going to pay them like it's a real clean. But in exchange for that free cleaning you're giving your friend or family member, you have them ask one important question. The important question is, how can I book again? What that's going to do is it's going to get them to answer one of two ways. Either they're going to say, here's my card. I'll do it for half off or I'll do it for cheaper. Book through me. Or they're going to say, call the office, call XYZ business owner name, and they'll get you rebooked. Now, if they say, here's my card, I'll do it for cheaper, obviously you fire them because they're going to try to steal your customers. If they don't do that and they say call the office, then it's a green flag and they should be good to go for future jobs, and you should be able to trust them a little bit more. On top of the test clean, you're going to have them sign a contract that says if you even try to take my customer, I will sue you. Will you ever actually sue them? No, but it's usually enough to scare them to not do it. So between those two things, it prevents most of that from happening.
Nice. I like that. That's a good little strategy. And I'm sure there's hundreds of tips like this in your actual program. I'm trying to do my best of like feeding my own curiosity while also kind of being proactive about probably some of the most common objections you get. You probably get asked like, how many hours a week do I need to dedicate to this business? What do you say to that?
Yeah, 10 to 15 hours a week. As long as you have 10 to 15, you're good to go. And you can pick up some phone calls. But, it tapers off as you build your team out, right? So, one big thing is you want to get a virtual assistant to answer the phone call. So, if you're someone with a 9 to 5, I want you to answer the first few phone calls to get a hang of the sales process.
Mhm.
But then I'm going to outsource that to someone overseas, someone in the Philippines, someone in Pakistan, someone in Mexico. So I don't have to pay a US based person to answer phone calls. It just doesn't make sense. It's not worth it. And they can do just as good of a job. So get someone over there to answer the phone calls full time,
Uh-huh.
get them to close at 50, 60%. And now your main job as the business owner is to just focus on recruiting. But eventually, once you build a system and process around that, you can also pass that off to your team members overseas. And it becomes a you know it becomes a business where your team's handling everything, and then you're just turning some dollars on the marketing spending. We got all the way down at Orange Window Cleaning to about 5 hours a week we were spending on the business, doing about 65 $70,000 a month. So it can get pretty automated. I'm not going to say automated because anybody who sits here and says, oh, fully automated income, they're bullshitting, but you can get pretty close. And so 10 to 15 hours a week to start, and then tapers off to about 5 as you build your team.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I mean, systems are huge. What are some other common objections or questions you get?
Can I do this alongside my 9 to 5? Yes, as long as you can answer some phone calls and you have 10 to 15 hours a week. We get insurance. Like, oh, what if they break something? You always send out cleaners with insurance. You don't send them out if they don't have insurance. You can incentivize them. You can start them off at 40%. Say, hey, I'll give you 45% when you get insurance. If they don't want to get insurance, that usually will cover it. But you send out cleaners with insurance. As a second layer, you have your own liability insurance. You can get it from a place like Thimble or Next. Usually about $60 a month. Sometimes I see $80 a month in some markets. But that covers your ass in the case that, the cleaner shows up to a job, they break something, they don't want to go through their insurance, and it's very expensive. Rarely does that ever happen, but it's just to cover your butt in the case that something like that does happen. Usually, if someone breaks something though inside a house, you just deal with it directly with the homeowner, pay for it out of pocket. It's usually not huge things. Um, what if a cleaner steals something? Happens less than 0.1% of the time, but you get accusations, and again, same thing. You just kind of handle it with the homeowner, and you talk to the cleaner. I've had one case actually across the 2,000 companies where one cleaner actually, kind of funny story. One cleaner actually got caught stealing like some jewelry, and they called the cops, and the cleaner was arrested on the job. And everyone was in Slack laughing at that, like, "Oh my god, no way, it's crazy." But rarely does that happen. Um, what other objections? Those are the main ones.
And again, like how I was joking about finding like Mexican ladies on Facebook Marketplace. So you're going to I kind of wasn't sure exactly how that part worked. Like you're going to establish businesses, kind of like a Molly Maid. Is that Canadian or American? Have you heard of Molly Maid? Is it kind of
Yeah,
like you're going to companies like that, or you said like kind of small operations? Because it's almost like you're searching home cleaning and then calling them and being like, "Hey, I'm about to crush you on the Google ranking. Can you do the job for half price?" Or like, you know what I mean?
yeah. So you're gonna be you can go to the Google rankings, and you can find a gem sometimes from there, but that's more of a sales process. People have seen success doing it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan because you're going after them, right? You're hunting after them. You're kind of like, please, like you're trying to sell them. Whereas if you just use Indeed or like a job board,
Uh huh.
you get a bunch of people to apply for your job and have to
But
sell
but those
themselves.
are just going to be people, right? They're not like businesses.
Well, they're independent contractors.
Independent
So
contractors.
so they
But
might
they
be
probably don't have an LLC or anything.
most of them do, or they'll be a sole prop.
Really?
And
Okay.
so you can filter that out in the requirements, but you'll get people who are like, "Hey, I've got like three girls that work under me," and they don't know how to sell or they don't know how to market. They're not on Google Business Profile. They're not on
For
Yelp.
sure.
They're not on Facebook, and they just want to show up and do the jobs,
For sure.
you know. And so Indeed is kind of the gold mine to find those types of people.
Okay. So you kind of are going after like individuals or like really small shops, I guess you could say.
Yeah, a Molly Maid would never work because they're a franchise and they pay royalties. So they're already paying percentages and they're investing a ton into sales and marketing and stuff like that. And all their equipment they pay for. So if I ever said, "Hey, take a job and I'll give you 40%," they would. There's no way in hell they'd go for it.
But don't a lot of these ladies, and I keep saying ladies, but whatever, but like when a lot of them probably don't have a vehicle, right? And then you're like, oh, I'll Uber you to the friggin' site, or like, you probably get like a lot of these weird
Those are the
logistical situations.
you can filter that out, right? So on the requirements, you're gonna say must have reliable transportation because you don't
Yeah,
want you don't want to be picking your Uber and your cleaners around. Hey, I'm done at the job. Can you come pick me up? And
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
you're busy doing your thing. He knows what you're doing.
Okay,
You happen to
reliable
hop in
transportation. Yeah,
the
definitely
car
makes
and
sense.
dropping them off. But yeah, reliable transportation, at least 1 year of cleaning experience, and you have to have your own equipment and supplies.
Mm.
And if they're missing stuff, we have checklists that they can buy the equipment from.
And it sounds like you're kind of actually transparent about how much you're charging and saying, hey, this is your percentage. Or do you just say, hey, I'll give you X per hour? Or how do you do that? You hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. So they said, sorry, I had a decline, so you cut out for a sec. But you asked how
Are you
was
like
the question?
transparent about the percentage? Or do you say like per project or per hour? What's kind
Yeah.
of the best
So
structure?
on the job posting, you're gonna put a range, right? Because you don't want to say percentage. People don't like that. You're gonna turn a lot of people off. And so on the job posting, it's $25 $35 an hour. And then when you get on the interview, you're also going to say, on average, we see about $25 to $35 an hour, but you'll typically make about 40% of every job. Our average cleaners make this.
So they actually kind of know how much you've closed for.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Like they know
Yeah.
it's a $350 job and they're only getting like 150, $200.
Yeah. But they also understand that, hey, if they ever come back and say, oh, I want more of this or that, well, I'm hiring other cleaners always. And they understand I have sales to pay for, I have marketing to pay for, I have staff to pay for, I have costs in the business too, right?
Mhm.
Like your job is to show up and do the cleaning.
How do they
Like
find out then how much if you instead of just saying, yo, $30 an hour, punto, that's what it is. How do they figure out what the actual, because I guess they see the contract when they, or you send them the contract so they know what they're getting into when they go to clean the house, or
yeah, so check this out. So they use Booking Koala. You onboard them all onto Booking Koala, which is the software we use to schedule all the jobs, and so they see what their payouts are in it. And so like if they say like, hey, I'm going to do this $300 job today, you can set it up in there to where every time a customer pays, you automatically route whatever their fixed percentage is right to their bank account on Stripe because it integrates with Stripe.
mm,
So they just see what their jobs are scheduled are for the day. They say, okay,
mm,
I'm making this. And not only that, but instead of paying them hourly, you got to think someone who's paid hourly is going to probably drag feet a little bit more than someone who's paid on
of
a
course.
percentage.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, yeah.
so they know like, hey, I'm making, 120 bucks this job. Let me move as quickly and efficiently as possible so I can make more per hour and go do another job.
Definitely makes sense. Dude, thank you for being transparent about these little details. It definitely helps kind of illuminate the path here.
Yeah, of course, man, no problem. It's been
This is
fun.
really cool. What do you think would give people like an unfair advantage in this business? Maybe if they've already come from sort of a construction or hospitality background, or if they're really good at internet marketing, or they're already like a paid ads guy or something. What are some of those levers?
Paid ads isn't going to do much for you. I'd say the biggest unfair advantage you can have is be good at sales. Be good at sales, specifically cold outreach. If you can do that and you can build relationships with your general contractors, your home builders, your property management companies, your commercial real estate guys that own commercial real estate, uh, you'll build a massive business.
That's a good answer. And maybe speak Spanish.
Speaking Spanish definitely helps for sure, but not super necessary. A lot of our biggest companies inside the network don't speak Spanish.
I can't imagine doing a cleaning business in Texas or California and not speaking Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, there's a ton of cleaners that they just make it work.
It's interesting. Okay. And are there any states where you just have nobody yet? Like, I don't know, Wyoming or something?
I don't think we have a Wyoming. I don't think we have North Dakota. I don't think we have South Dakota. Um, those might be the only two. Maybe like a Vermont. We've got Rhode Island, the smaller states up there. I think in New Hampshire. I don't know anybody that lives in New Hampshire, but yeah, I don't, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, South Dakota, Wyoming. I want to say are the ones we don't have. Everywhere else, though, pretty much every state.
I'm surprised no one from Boston was like, I'll take Vermont, New Hampshire.
No, I mean Boston's big enough, dude.
Yeah. Interesting. Are there any like what about like the Rust Belt type cities? Does that not work because they don't have the money to like pay for a $300 cleaning? Like if you went to Buffalo or Cleveland or something like that, would it still work and it's just kind of maybe lower margin or something or
Yeah, I mean, dude, we've got one of the lowest cost of living counties. We have a guy in Missouri or Mississippi, one of those states, and he charges Orange County prices. Like as long as you run the sales process and you run the script properly, charge whatever you want because everyone's got different willingnesses to pay, right? Not to say that's going to work in every single market, but yeah, I mean, as long as there's buildings, they need to be cleaned.
very cool.
And we got
Okay.
people in Cleveland crushing it all over Ohio. Ohio is a Columbus, great markets.
Great markets. Well, it seems like a great business for people to do kind of in addition to their 9 to 5. And something that, like you said, if you just take action, follow the game plan, follow the structure, the proven path that you've set out, sounds like it's pretty hard not to be successful.
I always tell people I love this business. I have a lot of conviction in this business. It's all I've done for 8 years. And my goal now is I want to create $1,000 million cleaning businesses. We've got four so far, but I plan to run this business for a very long time. And I love it because it teaches you all the fundamental skills of entrepreneurship. You learn how to sell, you learn how to market, you learn operations and systems. You got to schedule the cleaners. You learn how to recruit, and those are all the things you need to learn. And so even if it's the business that you're like, hey, I don't want to run this for the rest of my life, that's fine. You can build something and sell it in the next 3 to 5 years, 2 years, whatever it is, and you can go off and you can do something else, and nobody can ever take those skills from you. We were able to grow Home Service Academy so fast because we spent 5 years building the window cleaning business, and we learned all those skills over 5 years, which allowed us to grow our next thing that much faster.
Amazing. And we're going to have a webinar coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we are having a webinar. We're doing Tuesday the 19th. Yeah, Tuesday the 19th, 4 p.m. Pacific. We're going to go live on behalf of Vance and My Latin Life and your community. And I'm going to show everyone completely live how to start a cleaning business that you run remotely from anywhere in the world into 2024, 2025. And I'm going to give you guys a bunch of freebies and a bunch of my templates and scripts and SOPs so you can go off and do this thing on your own. Completely free. It's live. And Vance, you can tell them where the link will be.
Yeah, there'll be a link in the description to this video. So wherever you're listening to this, YouTube, Twitter, X, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, there'll be a link in the description to this podcast where you can sign up for the webinar. And the webinar is going to be fully live, right? It's not a pre-recorded thing. It's literally going to be you, CEO
Yeah.
of the business, helping getting people onboarded, telling them about this opportunity.
I want to emphasize too, it is live. It is live. I said it a few times, but most people will do these here and there. Um, and they're always like, oh, I thought this was evergreen. I'm surprised it's live. No, I will be there live. If you show up in that chat, I will say, hey, where are you from? I'll ask you where you're from. I'll talk to you. I'll answer your questions. So whatever you want to know, maybe I missed something on this episode. And you're like, hey, I want to ask you something. come to the live on the 19th. It's at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and I will be there. And I'll be running you through the whole playbook and the whole process that I've used to build over 2,000 cleaning companies and over 1,000 six-figure cleaning businesses.
Amazing. Anything else you wanted to mention before we get to wrapping up?
I think that's it, man. Follow me on Twitter, Squeegee God on Twitter. We're next up on YouTube, man. We're putting a lot of time and energy into our YouTube videos. So Johnny and Sergio on YouTube. I think we have the best boring business content on the platform right now. So yeah, follow us there and come join the live, man. Come have some fun on the live. You know, grab a glass of wine, come learn how to build a cleaning business. On
I'm pretty
Tuesday the
pumped, man.
19th.
I'm about to do it myself and add another business to my portfolio. So I'm pretty down. So I'll be on the webinar as well for sure. I'm going to be there November 19th.
November 19th, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And it's going to be a banger. It's going to be a good one. So,
Amazing. We'll
yeah. And
see
if you
all you
want to
guys
do it,
there.
dude, I'm happy to help you, man. Happy to help you. We do case study or something. That'd be a lot of fun.
I'm pretty down, honestly. Always down to make a little more money and get a little diversified into the in-person world, right? But cool. Let's get to wrapping up there. I want to see everyone on the webinar. I want to see dozens of people on this webinar. This is a huge opportunity to build a valuable business, right? Build equity, big cash flow, and equity. And there's so many directions you could take it. It's crazy. But with that, this has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, our guest today, Johnny from Home Service Academy. Link in the description for the webinar. And if you're listening to this after the webinar, still send me a DM and I'll get you introduced to Johnny and he'll treat you right if you come from My Latin Life. So if you can catch the webinar, let's do it. We'll see you there. I'll be there. Johnny's going to be there live. And if you're listening to this after the webinar, still hit me up, send me a DM, say, hey, I listened to the episode. Is there still a way I can get involved? And we'll make something happen for you. Cool, guys. So with that, please be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Ciao for now.